Hi, welcome behind the scenes with Axiom Medical. I'm your host, Jason McElwainey. This is a monthly series where we talk to people in Axiom Medical who make this company tick. We talk to people from every department, all walks of life. And I'm excited this week to bring you, or this month, sorry, to bring you Agustin Villarreal. Augustine, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks for inviting me to the behind the scenes. Very excited to be here.
And before we continue, I just want to address the elephant in the room. We had some technical glitches, so we started a little bit late, so I apologize for that. And if you're watching this on a rerun, then everything went fine. Everything went fine. Well, Augustine, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yes, like I said, I'm Augustin Villarreal. I'm National Sales Executive for Axiom Medical. Been with the company for about 2.5 years now. I live here in Houston, but actually I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. I was born there. 2 weeks later, I was brought here to United States because my dad was living here in Houston. So I'm an immigrant, and that's awesome, and I have a story about that. And we'll get into it. But yeah, just live out here close to it's called Clearbrook City, right outside of the Beltway in 45 South, near Friendswood, Pearland, and Webster, Texas.
Yeah, we share something in common. The both of us, we both became citizens, U.S. citizens, kind of within a month of each other, I think. So walk us through that whole process and how that came to be, because you have an interesting story. You've been in Texas for 2 weeks minus your whole life. So walk us through that.
Absolutely. Yeah, my dad is from South Texas, and he was living here in Houston, and my mom was from Monterrey, Mexico. Now there was a language barrier, so when I was going to be born, she was afraid of the hospitals here, so she went back to Monterrey and had me there. And then 2 weeks later, I was brought here. So I've been a Houstonian for more than most of my life. Just 2 weeks, a 2 week gap there. But yeah, it definitely. I've enjoyed being here. I love Houston. I do still have family in Mexico. I haven't been there since the cartel stuff and all that, but definitely I still have a lot of family members down there. We communicate luckily through social media.
And we were talking beforehand about what that 2 week little blip when you were born, how it created all these hurdles later in life of trying to become an American citizen. As someone who Saturday, I think, will be the 20th anniversary of the first time I came to Houston, and I didn't end up moving to Houston until the following summer. So it'll be 20 years next year that I've lived here. And I just kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off.
Here.
And then I was like, you know what? I really want to have a say in politics and in my community. So I want to be able to vote. And so that was nice. So talk us through the whole system, lack of ceremony.
Yeah. I even go a little further back. I remember when, as probably when I was 10, 11, all the way to 15, when we would have to stand in line in downtown, close to the Sears and Roebuck building, back over there off of Shepherd. I think that's where INS was there, and we would have to go get our updated the green card or the resident alien card. So at age 15, that was the last time I took a picture, and I had this card, didn't expire, so I could keep that. So I kept putting it off. My mom was always on my case about it. It's like, yes, Mom, I'm gonna do it. And 30 years later, I still do it. And she's like, everything's changing. The laws are changing. So finally, during COVID, I decided to do it, and was able to go to the interview. Once I went into the interview, even the lady there was on my case. What took you so long? Because I speak fluent English. Spanish is my second language, and she was on my case. And funny story is that just before I got my citizenship, I went to Cancun, and coming back at Homeland Security, they, have to show, I don't have a passport. So my kids are you always delay us, Dad, because I have to stay there at the station with Homeland Security, and they do their passports because they're American citizens. I have to present my green card. And the guy just starts laughing, and actually he knocked on somebody else's window. Come look at this. He hadn't seen one of those green cards, and it was a picture when I was 15 years old.
That's funny.
And he's
That's
like,
really funny.
what's going on? And my little 9-year-old was like, yeah, he doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. He hasn't got his citizenship yet. So decided to do it. So I was pressured into it. But no, yeah, going back to your question about the ceremony, it was during COVID, so we didn't get to go in the room, raise up our hand, and do the ceremonial flag, ceremonial flag. It was like we're sitting in the lobby 6 feet apart because of COVID with fully masked. And the guy came in and says, raise your right hand. And we didn't go through the whole thing. He just went through a little bit and said, okay,
Mhm.
you're done, boom. And I was like, okay, cool. But it was bittersweet. But we had some people who were kind of pissed because we're not doing the social ceremony. Nope. And your family members couldn't be in there either. So
Mhm.
we had
Nope.
to wait outside. So yeah,
Yeah,
unfortunately, COVID changed everything.
yeah, same story with me. It felt like I had gone to like driver's ed training, and I got a certificate at the end because it was just like, come on in, here you go. I know I mentioned, I was talking to you earlier. For my test, and for people that haven't gone through this, or for people that have gone through this, it can cause a lot of anxiety because it's a lot of money,
Yes.
and if you don't get it, you have to wait a little bit of time to apply again. And I
Yes.
looked all over the internet. I scoured all the government websites, and it said this is the test. And so I took the test, which was 128 questions, and I had all of those answers down. You could have quizzed me. You could have woken me up and asked me a question. I would have known it, and then I would have asked who you are and why are you in my house. But when I got in to do the test, the gentleman that was interviewing me, the first question wasn't on the test that I knew, and so I'm like, well, okay, wait a minute. Second question, I knew the answer. Thankfully, second question wasn't that, and I answered it correctly. And I said, "But is this not the such and such test?" He's like, no, we switched that when Joe Biden came in. I'm like, but
Oh,
hey, your site, please. I mean, come on. So yeah, I eventually got it, which was great. And yeah, I went through the very anticlimactic
yes.
thing where you're just sitting there in a room full of strangers and
Right.
getting this piece of paper that allows you to vote and all
Right.
that great stuff.
What's interesting is that I would say three-quarters of the questions typical American wouldn't be able to answer.
That's what I hear. That's what and
Yes.
honestly, you asked me 5 of the questions that are on that test, and I probably wouldn't know the
Yeah.
answer. Yeah, I think as soon as I got that paper, I just dumped the question.
Right.
I was visiting my family up in Canada last year for an extended period. I had to go up for a particular reason. And I didn't have my American passport and I didn't have my green card. So I'm like, how am I going to get back in? And thankfully, I'd rushed the American passport, and my wife overnighted it to me. But that was a bit stressful. I understand going through the borders and not
Yes.
having the right thing.
I just noticed too. I went to Paris. When I went to Paris, I had the Mexican passport, and I was given trouble. I was leaving their country. I'm like, I'm trying to leave your country. I'm not trying to stay here. But they're like, I need a secondary ID. Then they want a tertiary ID. I'm like, what? Here's a credit card. I just had my driver's license, and the Mexico passport always gave me trouble for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah. So,
Mm. We got a couple comments here. Dara says, yeah, very anticlimactic for sure. Anticlimactic. And she also says hi.
hey, Dara.
And then we've got a hi from April, who says
Hey,
hi as
April.
well. So we talked a little about you you introduce yourself and what you do here, but could you expand a little bit on that and what you bring to the table and what you like about working here?
Well, yeah. Funny you should mention that. I started my career in IT. And I'm gonna age myself. Back in 1990, when I graduated, I started. I went to a technical school, and it's the debunked ITT. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Jason, but ITT Technical Institute.
Yeah.
My career was going to be in IT. I started and I did my 2-year associates. Graduated. I started with the lottery company here when lottery became legalized here, and I was there 3 years into that. I was given a sales position, and so I never looked back. Just to give you some background, I love sales. I love talking to people, and you can ask my team members. I do tend to talk a lot, sometimes in meetings, especially at 4 o'clock, when they want to go home or log off. I tend to talk a lot. That's just my nature. And my wife says, I don't like that uncomfortable silence in an elevator. I'm the person that's going to talk and say something, or and maybe a contract comes over and it should be a 30-minute conversation, comes out to be 2 hours because we find something in common. But that's what I love about sales. And that's what I try to do to take that into a cold call, take it into a conversation with prospects and clients to build those relationships.
Well, talking a lot for people that don't like that can be problematic, but you're
Yes.
such a personable person that like it's it doesn't seem a bad thing when you talk a lot, because there are a lot of different personalities in the world. And one thing that other people like is a personality where you're kind of like, I like this person. I want them to do well, and I want them to win. And you have that kind of personality that people
Thank
want to
you.
stand behind. And a lot of like comedians or actors have that sort of thing. And I'm not comparing you to like a Chris Farley or anything like that, but he had that same sort of personality. People
No
want
dark secrets.
no, no, but you know what I'm saying. He had that same sort of allure to him that
Yeah.
people wanted to see him.
I do have a confession, Jace. When I
Uh,
first started in sales, I took it personal when somebody would reject me. You know, it's just the nature of the beast. It's like, it's just, you know, it's a no-brainer. This product or solution I was selling is awesome. Why won't you get it? You know, it doesn't make sense. And, you know, just those objections, those people are telling you no. But I understand people don't like now, you know, now as I've grown in my career, I understand people don't like to be sold to. They have to come up with the idea. They're going to want it. So that's why it's better. We're not high pressure. We're low pressure. We start out with a conversation just to see if there's a need there, because we're not for everybody. Axiom is not for everybody.
no, no. And yeah, I've tried sales in the past, and I'm horrible at it. I just not good at it. I'll talk to people about anything they want, but if I want them to buy something, I'm just not good.
And it's a patience game too. You have to be patient, and sometimes, yes, we want to be transactional, but there's the larger accounts; those are going to take forever because you have to go through their procurement, their legal, and so forth, and back and forth. I can tell you right now, I have a deal right now. It's been 6 months, back and forth, back and forth. We're waiting on an NDA now because they finally invoked the NDA. So it's like, come on, and they're asking me for updates. I'm like, well, we're waiting for an NDA executed by you because we already executed it. So we're waiting on you. I can't send you anything until you send us the NDA back. So it's
So
a
many
waiting
moving
game.
parts.
So
Yeah, so many moving parts.
yes.
So I understand you have 2 new people on your team. Is that right?
Yes. We just hired Aaron and Arie, 2 new faces. Yeah. I know I love, you know, I want to give a shout out to my team, new logo sales. Well, you know, we are a very cohesive unit. We work together well. It's just, and we get to see each other every Tuesday, which telemarketing Tuesday. We go to the office. We do a 3-hour call block of just calling, and then we have lunch. And it's great to get together and see, you know, in this virtual reality world now, it's great to go see them in person because you just get that video fatigue. You know, I got it during COVID, that video fatigue. I want to talk to a real person. You know, I
Yeah,
am talking to a real person, but I want to meet them. It's just different.
yeah, I get that. I prior to working at Axiom, I worked remotely for 5 years, and so I had that sort of discipline to do that. And as someone who's kind of an omnivert, you know, I'm extroverted, and then sometimes I'm very introverted. I like the ability to stay in my house and
Right.
work, but it's so hard to get a read on people because I read body language. That's like a lot of people do. You read body language. You can't
Yes.
read body language when it's just from here up. You know.
Yeah. You're like my kids. My kids, they on the weekends, it's my little 9-year-old Antonio couch and his devices. My daughter's watching Netflix on the other couch in the other room. And then somebody comes over. Why can't we have a weekend by ourselves? Why does everybody like to come over here and visit you? It's like, it's just, we're very sociable, me and my wife. So it's an inviting house. So they like to come over
That's
and
so
spend the
funny.
weekend with us. Yeah. But they're like, is there going to be a weekend without anybody coming over? I'm like, I can't guarantee you that, guys.
This is just me. I'm a Gen X, so when I was a kid, I was just, you know, here's a key. Try to make it
Right.
back before the lights come on.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we'll check in the morning and see if you're in your bed. We got a couple more comments here. We got Lauren who says, "Woohoo! Go new logo."
Thanks, Lauren.
And then Amy says, "Great to work with," and he's our internal IT go-to person.
Okay, you're not supposed to let that cat out the bag because IT might not like that.
Uh-oh.
I
Uh-oh.
am their go-to IT guy. They, you know, of course, they hate the ticketing system, having to put a ticket in, and I can fix things if it doesn't require administrative privileges. Now, funny story is in my previous employer, I had administrative privileges because I got in good with the IT people, and they understood that I was, you know, I knew enough to be, you know, dangerous, and I knew what I was doing, and they trusted me. So I had administrative privileges, but I know I'm not going to ask them for a hair because I don't need them.
Yeah, you don't want to add that
Yeah.
to your tool belt because then people will keep going to you. I know, marketing and sales, we sort of go hand in hand, but it's also like a little bit of oil and vinegar, a little bit, oil and water. Like sometimes we don't mix. And you talked about the ticketing system, and I've been in marketing for a little over 20 years now. And I've always found it interesting because we'll always come up with like quick things or quick ways to make people's jobs easier. But sales are like, no, just give me a piece of paper and a pen, and I want to do it this way. I want to, so it's funny. It's that bridge never gets fully
No.
finished. Maybe in the future.
But it is important to work together. It is. It makes us successful.
Yeah, for sure it is. And we love supporting you guys and the account management team. We're constantly creating new content. Shout out to Sarah Matthews, our designer.
Yes.
She's fantastic, and everybody on the marketing team. So let's talk about you outside of work. What do you do for fun when you're not working?
Not many people know this, but I am a DJ. I've been doing that for over 40 years. I grew up with radio DJs. My friends were radio DJs, club DJs. So I learned the traditional way with turntables by ear. We had crates of crates of records. We would have to count the beats on the music for 15 seconds, multiply times 4, get your BPMs. And so I still have my turntables to this day, but everything's digital now. So I have digital controllers now. But I'm retired. I would say semi-retired because my family and my closest friends, they try to get me out of retirement. I still have my equipment. I've DJ'd for Marine Corps balls. I've done the rodeo, the cook-offs. I've done a 50s party at U of H downtown and Central campus. It was 50s and 60s music. I've done, of course, quinceañeras, weddings. One of the weddings that I did, the bride was Mexican and the groom was from she was from, I think she was Lebanese, and so they brought me a stick of music. I don't know Lebanese music, but I know beats, so I was able to play the music and mix it up. Same thing at another wedding. The bride was French, and so her family was from France, and they flew in from France. And the groom was he was Cuban, so it was a mix of French music plus salsa merengue all night. And since they traveled all the way from Paris, they wanted to party all night because it was over at midnight. They're like, "That's it." I'm like, "Hey, that's all they got me for," and we got to go because that's all they rented the venue for so long. It was like, "You can't come to the after party." I'm like, "No, I got to go home."
So what's your favorite? 40 years, you probably have DJ'd a whole bunch of stuff. But what's
your favorite, all different genres. I grew up an 80s baby, so I'm more of a new wave. I just went to the Depeche Mode concert. So I'm a big new waves, The Cure, Depeche Mode. You have New Order. I went to New Order in New Orleans this past year. The Smiths, and it's mostly 80s retro. I like that, but I like every genre. I listen to country, hip hop. I just don't like the new hip hop. It's more mumble rap. I can't understand what they're saying. I like more my 80s raps, but yeah, I like country music. I like blues. I like jazz, soft pop, soft rock, hair bands too, because I grew up in the 80s. All the hair bands, Rat. Right. You had Rat. You had Doc and Motley Crue. So yeah, I delve into all the genres.
Same. I've got records.
I know. I had a record collection.
Records
there. And it got stolen, unfortunately.
Oh no!
I have turntables. Yeah, I was collecting. I don't know how long you've been. Do you remember how long you've been here, Jason, in Houston?
18 and a half years.
No, it was back in the day. It was called Record Rack. Sound Waves. That's where I used to buy my records, and back then it was expensive. It was $20 for import, and that was expensive back in the 80s, 80, 85. So yeah. And those were all imports with the remixes for the DJs, and they all got stolen out of a warehouse that I had, and I was like, I was pretty distraught for a while, but I even thought about doing the collection again and just having records again. I have a few records left. But it's just expensive to try to collect all that again.
It sure is. I just got a new turntable myself. I replaced my I had one of my DJ turntables, a Stanton DJ turntable in my living room. It just doesn't sound right. So I got a better, just a record listening turntable. But yeah, I used to DJ as well. I still sometimes do like live DJs on Facebook, or live sessions on Facebook or TikTok or something like that. I love it. I still keep up with it. I've still got a bunch of my old house and techno tracks, and I need to break out the mixer and the other turntable and do that again. But I'm a little afraid because beat matching, if you haven't done it in like 10 years or so.
They made it easier, Jason, with the Serato. I use Serato DJ. So they make it easier because you have visual cue points now. Before it was, you had to learn the music and know when that breakdown is going to come down, the chorus, and so that was an art back then. And I still see some DJs at some clubs. It's a record night, and I like to see those because that is awesome, because not everybody does that anymore.
No, I prefer it that way because you seem to be more in tune with what you're mixing, what's going on, rather than just sort of pressing a button. Nothing against that, but for me, I always like to. There's a math to it, There's a complex equation or whatever that you're trying to go for there. So it's
when Paris Hilton started DJing, I'm like, oh no, man, it's
put me out of a job. I was running that thing. Seth Wood says about DJs, wow, that's awesome. And then Dara says we need a DJ off between the two of us. Oh, I don't know. I'm sure after 40 years, I did it on the side, which was a lot of fun. I really loved spinning house and beat matching stuff. And, you got the thing there. I'm sure you and Lauren have talked about it. And Lauren, I interviewed her 2 months ago when we talked, 2 or 3 months ago, and we talked about our love for vinyl. And she has a deep love for vinyl as well.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And Soundwaves is still open. It moved to the east side of Houston.
They did? Oh wow! Yeah. I thought the last one closed down. Yeah, it was. I would go to Soundwaves, Cactus Records, Record Rag. I'd get all the imports there.
Yeah, Cactus
was pricey back then. So every time I got paid for a gig, that's where I was going to, either new equipment or new records. And then my friends that were radio DJs, they get that stuff for free, and they would get double copies. So if they were nice enough, they'll hand me one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man.
I sort of miss those days. In Toronto, we would have to go through a hole in a chain link fence in some abandoned warehouse, and dark and not a lot of lights. And you're like, is this building, is this legal? Probably
the old raves. Yes, I remember those.
It was a lot of fun. All right, so talk to me. What do you got going on in the future? You got any plans with the kids, with the family, going on any trips or anything like that?
Yeah, we just came from, where did we go this year? Oh my God. See, I'm getting old and senile here. Where did we go this year? We like to do a trip for the kids every year, and they're beach kids. So they love the beach, but I'm trying to get them to go either to Colorado or somewhere we can go hiking, California, where the redwoods are, just things like that. Maybe do the Pennsylvania, DC, the historical tours. But yeah, they're beach kids. They love beach. And I'm like, let's go to Galveston. They're like, that's not a beach. I took them one time and they're like, it smells. Yeah. Yeah. So I do. And I forgot to mention this when I introduced myself. I have a 9-year-old boy, Antonio, and a 10-year-old, 16-year-old daughter, at Soleil. And, she was inducted into the National Honor Society a few weeks ago.
Congratulations.
She's a junior at Clearbrook High School, and she loves volunteering too. And basically, when she volunteers, that means daddy volunteers.
You must feel pretty proud of that.
Yes, I am. And she's, she's short. She's a short, but when she was in 9th and 10th, she was athletic. She's very athletic. She was in basketball. She was in volleyball. She actually started in middle school, but she loved basketball, volleyball, and then baseball, a little bit of softball. But I was trying to get her into golf because I love playing golf. That's one of my hobbies too, is golf. I haven't done it in a while. Just been busy with life and work. But I used to have a 4 handicap, and I'm trying to get back to that. My previous job, that's all they did is I would travel to trade shows, events, and I would go play golf, and it was awesome. But and then I had friends that were, scratch golfers. So it's always good to play with somebody that's good and inspire you to play great golf. But yeah, I think right now I'm at 10 or 11, but
still, that's good. Dara, Chad, if you're listening, if we need some golf events next year or later this year, and we need We need a sure thing. You've heard it here. We've got money in the bag right here. I think the last time we did one of those was before COVID.
Yeah.
And it was in the area, and it was fun. It was good. I think we sponsored a hole, which was nice. I think there were prizes, but I don't think we came close. So
yeah,
now that we know that we've got an ace. And
I have all my trophies in the garage. Yeah, the first
nice.
places and all that. It's funny because in my previous employer, the CEO found out that I was a good golfer, and he requested me to be on his team. Talking about pressure,
right?
He's like, "I heard you're so good, Agustin. Let's prove it." I'm like, "Oh my god!" First strike, it goes a little bit left. I'm like, "Oh," he's like, "Come on, calm down." So then I calmed down, and and just the nerves set in, and so I just started hitting straight. He's, "Oh yeah, you are good. Okay." Hitting it close to the pin, but yeah, the thing with golf is if you don't use it, you lose it. It's hard. You lose your touch or feel. So it's one of those games that you can love it, but then you can hate it. You want to break your club, but it's just I've learned not to do that. Hey, it's just a game. It's not the club. It's me. It's not the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in sales, don't take it personal. They just don't know what's good for them. So
right.
Yeah.
I've known people that I've played golf with people and they get angry and they throw their club. I'm like, why are you even doing this? Like, isn't this supposed to be relaxing?
I did that. I threw one into a lake. I was so mad because I lost $100 bet on that shot. All I had to do was get on the green. I would win, and I shanked it. And I threw that, of course, with some curse words. I threw it in the. I had just bought that sand wedge too.
Ooh, yikes!
I was mad. I couldn't go in there because there's gators. So
yeah, you don't want to go in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the guy's name, but where I'm from in Canada, there's a local legend around the area, and a lot of golfers know who he is. His name's Mo Norman, and
Mo Norman, one of the greatest ball strikers. Yes.
Yeah, he would call shots off of trees. He would just amazing trick shots. An amazing genius, but also a very weird and aloof human being. Probably won millions of dollars, but his personality just said, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
All right, so we got another comment from Lawrence. Lawrence says, yes, vinyl is the best way to listen to music. The way the artist wanted the album to be heard. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, definitely.
I couldn't agree more. All right, so we're coming up to the end here. You got any parting thoughts? Any drops of wisdom you want to share with the people before we go?
No, just we're having a great year so far. We had some big wins this year from both Angie and Amy, and we just want to keep that momentum going. And I think there's better things to come in the future. So I'm looking forward. I appreciate being part of Axiom, and just being part of the culture here. I enjoy when I do meet new people. It's awesome. Everybody's inviting and friendly. I get to see y'all once in a while in the office when you're having your meeting. That's great to see because like I said, I'd rather talk to you in person than on video.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Agustin. It's been great talking to you. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk with us. And until next time, everyone, we'll see you later.
Thank you.